It was a gamble when we started with corn. Everybody, oh, that's never going to grow. It's worked for me for 14 years. So, and if I can get it taller and bigger cobs, that's all I want. How I started with this best spraying it, I silage, so I see a lot of different crops. And this one gentleman's last year I silage of corn. His plant was lush green and his cobs were 100% mature to silage. Where typically we're waiting for a frost to get the sugars up, and it looks like the plant is 100% dead, but there's still too much water in there to make silage. His was, the plant was still green and the cobs were dried down. We chop around 2,000 acres of corn for different people. His was far superior than all the rest we chopped for quality, and when the feed analysis come back, his was way superior to mine and of the dairy farmers. And my theory to that was the only thing difference from his crop to my crop, or the other guy's crop, was best. And that's why I tried it. My theory is you got to grow more on less acres. We're looking for development of it, and size, of course, and how far it gets filled to the end, because every seed is tonnage. And you can see the yellow in here, so the starches have already started coming up, so they're filling with sugars already. And typically we're 2 less rows of corn on this variety of corn, and we're full right to the end, and they're developed right to the very tip. That's very unusual for filling and developing, eh? Typically, if we can get another week of 19 or 20 degrees, this will be very close to being ready for silage. And there's no browning of the leaves. And on the other side, there's a little bit more browning of the leaves where it isn't sprayed. It's still healthy, but not as healthy. Like you could tell by the leaves, there's no browning in the middles. The leaves are just simply healthy. They're not breaking down and breaking like that and hanging. This corn is all grown with 75 pounds of nitrogen. And where we're standing, half the field is sprayed with Best in a 2-pass with my Roundup. And it's great. Like it's growing where we're putting 200 pounds and no Best because it maybe wasn't around yet. And the plant would be 1 foot to 2 feet shorter on the same active growing year. Corn typically is for heat. And where we live is there's not tremendous amount of heat. Yes, they're breeding corn to take less heat units. So typically we're chopping corn in October, late October, which is close to snowfall. And some people get a little leery, but with these new products, it seems like it's speeding it up 2 weeks. So if we can start chopping corn first part of October, it's going to make it a lot more interesting and more people thinking they're going to get the feed up. And with the chemicals, we can control weeds, we can do everything, but we can't make the corn ripen. And I'm thinking, and what I see in the last 2 years, that Best is helping on the ripening. On the side that wasn't treated, in the cobs we've broke open and checked, there's no browning, which is putting it 10 days to 2 weeks behind in maturity. Dairy farmers want protein for milk production. The beef guy is more on the energy. So the further we can get the sugars into the cobs, the more protein they're going to get in the cobs, which is a benefit for beef and dairy. I'm just showing the actual length of the cob on the initial corn. So we're there. And on the same plant, here's the second cob. and I'll show you how advanced it is, which is very abnormal. Yes, it's smaller, but if you hook them two together, there's a lot of tonnage there. And most of these all have two very close to the same. From the looks of the cobs and the development, it'll be 20 plus tons. I'm hoping for 22 because it's a foot and a half taller. Driving down the road with a pickup, it's hard to see because you can't see over it. But in a big truck, you can see the height difference. This is a different variety of corn. It's a little less heat units. As you can see, it's already full of meat, which is hard dough. And for this time of year, the first part of September, which I think it's the 5th, is not normal for us. So, which is also, this is the sprayed stuff with Best. And the yellowing from comparing to this other variety is all white. We still have similar milk lines, but as you can see in the color, this takes less heat units, but in 1 week this will be ready to silage. In the past, typically, the corn has got 10 to 12 rows. And this year, we found quite a few more rows. I'll count around here. We'll keep my thumb on this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 on a 12-inch or 13-inch cob, which is a lot of corn seed and a pile of tonnage. From the last time we talked or we're out here, the corn has matured quite nicely. Got a little more yellow. Here, we'll take this one off. How it's growing right out of the husks. They're totally ripe, like just about ready for harvest season, actually. And as we talked before about the milk line and how it filled all the way to the end, some dried out just because they were out of the cob. But as you can see, it's all indented too, the seeds, which mean it's ripe. The milk line, all the way up, seeds are literally right full of meat and protein, where it was juice before. So it's matured without a frost. The sugars have all come up and the starches. It's perfect. And on every plant, like it just grew right out of the cobs. And they're all the same, like they're ripe. Very rare that we make it without frost bringing up the sugars. Usually we wait for a frost. The leaves are totally brown. We still have green in our leaves and green in our stalks. But our moisture is at 65 moisture just because the moisture's gone in the seeds. It's all meat, which that compensates for the little bit of greenness in our plant. This is finished product. As you can see here, we got seeds here and the core, as you want to say. And now the seeds are all, we run a kernel processor, so it crushes everything. Here's total seeds, just crushed, all meat, no juice. It's a phenomenal year for corn. The best product that I sprayed on, it seems to make a pile of difference, is on the samples we've taken from where it was sprayed and not. I can see our digestibility being up just because of the maturity advanced. Because everything matured nature's way, not on frost. It's never been this advanced. This is its 14th year corn on corn here, and I've never had it as advanced as this. Some always run out of moisture or run out of life, but they all matured. Like, there's not one that's any smaller than the next one. They're perfect. We're for sure 22 ton. That best, it it it's made a big difference. From the difference I've seen this year in my corn, next year it will all be sprayed with best. And probably most of my cereals and canola too. I'm Raymond Marquette. I have Raydad Farms. We do a custom silaging business, and another year has come and gone. Early in the year, we had hail, and I'm thinking we were going to end up with no tonnage. But as we can see, it grew back, it tasseled, made cobs, and nice cobs. The seeds are full. And see, the milk line is right out. You tell me why it's doing this if it wasn't because of best. The hail did set the cobs back, but they finished. They're not immature. They grew. But when that hail come and cut it in half, I was figuring on no crop. And it still run right around the 19 ton an acre. Also the canola that was beside it, which was sprayed with best. And you know, usually you get immature seeds in the canola and greens after hail. The canola there all went #1. I didn't spray all my acres with best. And we got some, it went as a #2 canola because we got green seeds and damaged from the hail. The plant just wasn't as healthy. We've cut back a little bit on our fertilizer with best because it is a fertilizer too. So we've cut back probably 10%, which is more than compensating for the cost. This is my second year of using best, and this year we did the whole field, but last year on the half that didn't get sprayed and the half that did, TDN, which is total digestibility, was higher, crude protein was higher, and the energy was higher. Those are the keys to making your crop digestible for the cows. They didn't get bunged up. We had no stomach issues, no bloating. It works. Best works.